when we bought the home, we had the full intent to remodel it, every wall, floor, ceiling, and that is what we hired C3 for, was to just take us from the 80s original home to today. And so it was a large scope project, but it included us not living here. It included taking down walls, making ceiling lines level. It included going down a bathroom, which I know sounds crazy, but it fit the needs of the family. Building out a closet in a space if there wasn't one, removing a sand pit, and really just redoing, like I said, every wall, floor, and ceiling to bring it to modern day. For us, it was a kind of a really long, drawn-out process. It was really important for us to find the right partners to do this project. It's a family home. We knew we were going to be not living here, and we're going to be touching, like I said, every wall, floor, ceiling, every single thing in the home. So I went on a very extensive interview process, and I interviewed designers and contractors. And what I found throughout the process was it kind of came in pairs. So if I interviewed a contractor, they had a designer they wanted to use. If I interviewed a designer, they had a contractor they wanted to use. We really couldn't find a couple, if you will, a designer-contractor pair that both felt really good to us. So at some point we ended up abandoning kind of that thought. I had actually learned about C3 just from following someone on Instagram, watching their personal home be fully remodeled. They tagged you in one post. I had to really go find who did the work. As soon as I found it, I reached out. I think you called me back in 24 hours. We had you on site within probably 2 days, and we immediately established a rapport and a relationship. I was in a unique position where I already had the designs, and so it was really just about how fast we could get materials, get an agreed upon calendar, finalize scope of work, and get started. So once I kind of learned about C3 from someone I followed on Instagram and their personal remodel, like anybody, I just decided to Google them. I wanted to look at their website, wanted to look at your work, wanted to just see what else was out on the internet. And I came across a podcast. And so I set aside some time to listen to the podcast. I think it was actually a video podcast. So I got to not only see Bruce's face, but hear a testimonial of sorts from himself. And I think part of that was really what led me to understand who he was as a person, what he stood for as a company, what kind of integrity he followed, his standards, and the way that he runs the business. And it really had me kind of bought in from a customer perspective, from just kind of a little blind research moment as to what kind of company I was going to be dealing with. And then from the time that we met Bruce and moved forward, I don't feel like anything changed. So that original perception was still the person who did our project, the person that we know today. The first meeting with you, I had everything I thought I needed, and I had plans, and we had some general idea of material selections, and I think that's what got us kicked off in a really good way, because you were able to see what the vision was and help us know that we could bring it to life with your help. I think for me, the biggest thing in that first meeting was I had so many concerns on how the hard things were going to get done, and they seemed like no big deal things to C3, and that gave us a lot of faith and confidence in just really turning over the plans and saying, let's get started. For us, what set C3 apart was the immediate connection that we had with you and your team, I think was something that you just can't replace. And when you know that you're going to be going through a several month-long project where there are guaranteed to be ups and downs, you want to make sure that you have a solid foundation. It's something that we felt from the beginning, and in all fairness, never really wavered even to today. So that was number one thing. I think number two thing for me is value. So I am looking for the right mix of price and quality in everything that I do. It pours over into my professional life. It's how I approach all of my personal decisions as well. And the value was there for us. And so it kind of became this magical mix that we knew we needed to just go forward. We wanted the project done. We wanted to be living in our new home and not our old home. And so the timing was right for us to meet each other and for us to have that meeting go forward. Regarding timelines, we've remodeled before. And kind of our personal rule of remodeling is it takes twice as long as anyone says it will, and this was not that scenario. So the upfront calendar that we went by, I think we were off by a couple weeks in the grand scheme of things when you look at a project this size, and even just the amount of timelines that are involved in ordering materials, which is my responsibility in this scenario. I would still consider that to be very much an on-time project that we communicated regularly throughout, and we didn't have any surprises whenever it was time for us to select a move-in date. Communication was great. Whenever we needed someone was there. I would say a text message, a phone call, those things were easy for us. We had on-site visits every week that we would attend with our project manager or with the owner. We got very close to the team that worked here daily, including the on-site construction manager, and had a good relationship where we felt like if we needed something, we were heard. I don't think that there was any difference whether it was working with the project manager, the construction workers that were at the house. we still got the same level of service and integrity throughout the entire time. I think warranty is important. So we knew that there was a 1-year warranty, and pretty soon in we had something that needed to be addressed. And it was the same communication plan that we had during our entire remodel experience. A phone call, a text message, some photographs, and the team was on site in order to remedy the issue. And we never really felt a big impact as a family. So I would say that the warranty was solid and that C3 stood behind their work. Like I said, for me, it's all about value. So that's the number one thing that I tell people. I think I care very much about how I spend my money, and I know my friends do as well. And so I explain to them that for what we paid, what we got, and how we feel, this was the right value package for us. We got probably more than we ever thought we would get in a positive way in return for our investment. And so that's what I tell people is interview C3, interview other people, compare the information, compare the relationship, compare, the timelines, and make your own choice. But for us, after we did that with like almost 20 people, this became the obvious choice. So I hope that other people have the same experience that we do, which is why we've been referring them to all of our friends and neighbors. The other piece of value for a homeowner, especially doing a full home remodel, is what you paid for the house, what your remodel costs, and what you project to sell for one day. We are in no hurry to sell this house, but we know, and we knew going in, that if something happened and our lives changed and we had to sell the home immediately, we wanted to be right side up. So that is part of the value equation for me. And given what we paid, what we got out of this, I think we would be in a great position if we were needing to do that. And like I said, that's part of the equation for how we arrive at value and what it means to us.